If we're going to think about the way in which art can amuse us, we of course absolutely have to look at this glorious painting, Frans Hals, The Laughing Cavalier. Now, it's a pretty odd title, bearing in mind he's not laughing and he's not a cavalier, but maybe it is called this because when you look at his face, you simply cannot help but laugh yourself. His eyes are lifting up in a smile. His pink cheeks have lifted into little round apples. I think he's probably a bit hot, not only his cheeks, but also on his nose. Look carefully and you can see that little point of white, a little bit of sweat. There's also a slight flush to his forehead. And then he has this splendidly silly moustache curling up as though reflecting a huge smile beneath. By the way, in 1624, when this was painted, moustaches like this were common, so Frans Hals was not trying to be funny. Most of all, though, I think it is the way he is looking at us, looking down at us. His head is slightly turned at an angle. Is he perhaps sharing a joke with us? Or maybe this is a kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge look, having just made some kind of joke and hoping that we're laughing. Or is he perhaps just being smug? Does he have a secret which he's not sharing with us and he's just gloating a little bit about it? I think this is probably it. I think he's quite possibly the smuggest person ever painted of all time. In fact, I don't actually like him very much. That said, whenever I look at him, I still laugh and I simply can't turn my eyes away from him. It's almost uncanny. He's annoying me so much, but he has such charisma that I can't help but admire him. And how brilliant that the artist Frans Hals could achieve these mixed emotions in paint. So who was he? Who was Frans Hals? He was painting in the southern Netherlands at the same time that Rembrandt was painting up in the north. And just like Rembrandt was doing, Hals tapped into a new wealthy merchant class who wanted to memorialise themselves in paint. And Hals was really very successful during his lifetime, whereas Rembrandt actually was not, particularly towards the end of his life. However, considerably more people know who Rembrandt is today, while Hals is, relatively speaking, pretty obscure. And I think it really comes down to the fact that anyone who was really painting at the same time as Rembrandt has been eclipsed historically by this great master. And I think maybe also it's because Rembrandt's portraits are deeply introspective, intense and full of soul, whereas Hal's works are considerably more light-hearted. But like Rembrandt, he painted with great virtuosity. Look at the highly detailed and crisp way in which he's painted the face of this man. I mean, you can pretty much see every hair of his eyebrows, and as well as that amazing sheen to his skin. But then let your eye travel down the painting and check out that ruff. When you first look at it, you think that he's painted every single web of lace, but just get your nose a little bit closer and you can see that he's been much more economic with it than you might originally have thought. His brush is flying backwards and forwards, and look at that passage on the left-hand side. Look at all of those squiggles. On the right-hand side, we can see this even more. Lead white paint is kind of flickering around on the canvas, entirely bringing this amazing ruff to life. And then when we look down his sleeve, we can see more paint. I mean, it's unbelievable, really. Look at the highly detailed lace pattern. Every last stitch can be seen compared to the broader, more liberal strokes at the top. It's this kind of constant focusing and refocusing of the brush, coming in and out of detail. And then look at those slashes of orange and red at the top of the lace, and the really spectacular black of the sash. Close up we can see it's a series of cross-hatchings, white paint that's kind of dashed into the black to create this glossy, silky sheen. And from a distance, this all just looks like perfect lace, perfect silk. So what is the purpose of this portrait? Why is this guy so hilariously smug? Let's get closer to the sleeve again, as the clue lies there. Can you see within this sleeve little fiery flames and arrows that are flying through the air? Even tiny little bees if you look closely. This sleeve tells us that love is at the heart of this. And frankly, I do not think he's thinking about his mother. I think he is thinking about desire and heat and fire, Cupid's arrows, the sting of love. That's why we've got the bees there as well. And perhaps this is the reason why he's looking a little hot under the collar. Does he have a saucy secret? I think so. And I think this is a painting that was commissioned for a lover or for a betrothed. And I always wonder, whenever I look at this picture, I wonder who she was. So go and check out the Laughing Cavalier. As soon as London is back up and running again, it can be found in the amazing Wallace Collection, which is full of treasures like this.